Hello and welcome to the Play Review with me, Douglas Schatz.
And me, Jodi Rylett.
Hi, Jodi.
Hi, Douglas.
So I know that you've seen a number of shows over recent weeks, as have I, and I thought we could just do a rapid run-through of what we've seen and liked or otherwise. I know that once we get started talking about a show, it's hard to stop us, but I think we should try and be brief.
Let's give it a go.
So we can cover as much ground as we can. So, from what you've seen lately, I'm interested, what stands out?
In terms of super recently, 1536 at the Almeida stands out. It was three amazing actresses, Liv Hill, Tanya Reynolds, Sienna Kelly, in a female-led production, which, you know, is always my kind of thing. It's set against the threat of, basically, Anne Boleyn is in jail, and it's what the women are whispering about. What do they really think? Did you do it? Did you not? If they can do that to a queen, what can they do to us? So it's quite an interesting premise. It's incredibly sweary, written by Ava Pickett, who was very involved in The Great. So if you liked that feel of The Great, of period setting with very modern language, then it could be for you. And Almeida rarely puts on a bad production.
I'm sorry I missed it in a way. I don't know why I missed it because I try and go to everything at the Almeida, but somehow that one slipped past me. And now it looks like it might be too late. But what else stood out recently?
Not a huge amount super recently. I know that you've seen Giant in the transfer more recently than I have. I saw that a while back. That stood out for me so far this year. So I'd be interested to hear what you thought of that.
Yeah, I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and it's definitely one of the best things I've seen this year. In a number of ways, it's fascinating is that it's a very talky show in a sense, but it's absolutely riveting. And the central performance, of course, John Lithgow as Roald Dahl is just stupendous. It's an extraordinary performance. He's by turns charming and funny, and then absolutely chilling in his casual, abhorrent anti-Semitism that comes out of him. And of course, this is the point of the play. It's full of thorny moral politics around the conflation of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, and that becomes hugely topical, even though it's about actions by Israel some years ago in bombing Lebanon. It's so topical that the night I went, I don't know if this happened to you, there were shouts from the audience, and a couple of people walked out.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. I had this fantastic moment where behind me I could hear security on their walkie-talkies reacting to the fact that there was this person shouting out at the stage.
Drama within the drama. I love that.
Yeah, so it was quite exciting.
Yeah, that's a standout for me of the year. I was expecting to not particularly like it. I don't particularly like talky plays, but I really, really loved it. It surprised me. What I found most interesting was the way that people, when there is a genius in the midst,
Yeah.
how everybody bends around the great artist and how much they get away with and how much they're forgiven. And it's to their detriment and to their ultimate downfall. So I found that inherently dramatic. So yeah, I'm recommending that to as many people as possible.
Yeah, it's thought-provoking and entertaining, I think, in the best possible way. The cast are without exception fabulous. Rachel Sterling and Elliot Levy are great. I would watch both of them in anything. And Aya Cash is very good as Dahl's young American publisher who walks into the fire. And it has a good while to run yet, booking until the 2nd of August.
And I like theatre that is provocative and divisive. And, you know, if people are walking out, it means, I suppose, that they're feeling something, right?
Yeah, lots to talk about when you come out of that.
Just quickly, I really like Marie and Rosetta at the Rose Theatre in Kingston, which is transferring. It's in Chichester in June, I think, and in Bristol Vic in July. Two-hander with the amazing Beverly Knight playing the legendary gospel singer Rosetta Tharpe, whose story I did not know, but she is so cool. The pictures of her with this white electric guitar. She's this gospel singer who influenced the likes of Jimi Hendrix and Elvis Presley and so on. So it's a beautiful story of two women lifting one another up. And it's also beautifully theatrically staged. It could have been just a very quiet, tiny little studio show. And I think that's how it has been performed in the past with minimal set and so on. But I won't spoil it, just, oh my word, the gorgeous, gorgeous music. It gives you goosebumps. So if you can get to Chichester or Bristol to see that, I'd definitely recommend that.
Okay, great. That's a good one to know about. One I enjoyed recently And I don't know, are you seeing The Fifth Step at Soho Place?
Yeah, I'm seeing it on the 19th of June. Obviously, I have a huge crush on Jack Loudon, so he could be reading the telephone book and I'd pay for front row seats.
Actually, I do too. I think he's great. He's a wonderful actor. He's famous for Slow Horses, I guess, at the moment on television, of course, but he has been a very good stage actor in the past. I saw him do Ghosts a number of years ago with Leslie Manville. This is a two-hander with Martin Freeman. It's a play by David Ireland, who also wrote Cypress Avenue and Ulster American, both of which I've seen previously and liked. This is about a young Glaswegian played by Jack Loudon in a more native Scottish accent, who has checked himself into AA, and his sponsor, Martin Freeman, who's an older, longer-term alcoholic, appears to have it all under control and is there to look after him. I think you're going to love this because it's worth seeing for the quality of these two great actors going head to head. Loudon is brilliant. He plays this nervy youth, very fidgety in his psychological discomfort and barely suppressed testosterone, it must be said. And Freeman is his usual kind of perplexed, response to the young man's uncomfortable confessions. He's a great listener as an actor, I think, Freeman.
Yeah, he's also just got phenomenal ease, Martin Freeman. So I am really looking forward to that. Do you know, I knew nothing about it at all. A friend saw that it was coming on, booked tickets, knew I'd love it, and I've deliberately stayed away from any reviews or anything. Now I see The Fifth Step as in the steps of the AA process.
Yes. The fifth step is the confessional step. The play also raises some interesting themes around unedited masculinity and the potential comforts of religion. It's also very funny, though, between them. But interestingly, I don't know whether you've seen these other plays I mentioned by Ireland.
Yeah, I have.
Well, they're pretty unsettlingly provocative.
They are.
And in the end, my feeling is that this is significantly less dangerous than this other work, and therefore slightly disappointing for that. It's not as profound, but it's 90 minutes straight through with two great actors on stage the whole time and very entertaining for that. So I think you'll love that part of it at the very least.
Excited, very excited for that. So that's upcoming. Should we talk about what we've got upcoming?
Well, first, actually, I think you've seen The Brightening Air at the Old Vic.
Oh, yes.
Just to say, that's a new Conor McPherson play following Girl from the North Country, which I was very moved by and I thought was beautiful, which is returning to the Old Vic this summer. And you're going to see that. Did you see that the first time?
I didn't. I've missed it. I've missed it twice now, and I just was determined not to miss it this time round. I did like The Brightening Air. I was charmed by it in so many ways. Rosie Sheehy, who was in Mackinac before at the Old Vic.
Yeah.
What a talent she is. And she plays Billy, the sort of autistic sister who's staying at home in the crumbling farmhouse.
In rural Ireland.
Of course, a little bit Chekhovian in that sense.
Yeah.
Ownership of the house and all that. So I did like it. I was charmed by it. The second half got a bit weird.
Yes, I think a bit weird is right to say, actually. Well, curate's egg, I guess. I was really looking forward to it because I think a new Conor McPherson play is something to be reckoned with. The title comes from a poem by Yeats, which is reprinted in the program, and it's a lyrical fairy tale about, as it turns out, a fish who transforms into a girl and disappears, but represents a lost love. And the play has fairy tale elements, doesn't it? There's a supposedly magical water from a local well that can make someone fall in love with you, which is a nice conceit. And there's also a young woman who may or may not be some sort of fairy, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially a family drama, I suppose, of lost love. And it's a slow burn. You mentioned Chekhov. It takes a while to establish each of the characters. There are 8 characters. But Rosie Sheehy, as you said, is the neurodiverse younger sister in the family. She's outstanding. And Chris O'Dowd is very good as Chris O'Dowd, I thought.
Yeah. And that was what the part seemed to command as well. So it worked. It worked brilliantly. He was very funny, although not perhaps too likable, given how horrible his character is.
No, he's very self-centered, horrible to everyone around him, but he has wonderful comic timing.
Yeah.
And he's very good at being exasperated and unfairly put upon.
Yeah.
When in fact, this character is anything but that. He is horrible, yet O'Dowd somehow makes him almost likable. Not quite, not really, but he's certainly funny. And I also thought that McPherson always creates moments of magical emotion in the theater, just moments. And Rosie Shee gives us some of those, I think.
Oh, she does.
She's on the piano and sings at the end of the first half, and that's just mesmerizing. And then an amazing speech
Yes.
near the end of the play, a monologue, which is just an astounding piece of writing and acting, which on its own is almost worth the price of admission.
I think so, and worth buying the playtext for.
Absolutely.
I'm going to do that because I want to reread, particularly that last section. And it's quite difficult to pull off, I think, to suddenly, at that point in the play, to have a monologue in this way. When it started, I had a moment of, oh, please don't let this now be where the writer says some big statement and it spoils the whole suspense of my disbelief. And it didn't. I loved that moment. I felt like we were seeing something extraordinary.
It stands out because it is a long speech on its own. And I say almost worth the price of admission because ultimately I have to say I probably was a little disappointed by the play as a whole. As you said, it goes a bit weird in the second half. O'Dowd's character, weird things happen to him. And I thought overall it just sort of lost momentum in a way and became less memorable. But still a lot of nice things to watch on the stage.
Yes, and I love a little bit of whimsy, and I like this idea of this love potion and the desperation of trying to regain the love and regard of your husband if you've lost it. I wish that had been pursued more. I thought we were going to get more of a Midsummer Night's Dream style, either mix up or resolution with this love potion.
Yes, and it also, I think there are some very poignant elements at the center of that, with the triangle of the two brothers and Lydia, the wife, whose husband, Chris O'Dowd, has fallen out of love with her, but she hasn't and would like him to love her back again, which is where the magic water comes in. But the brother has also held a candle for her all these years. So there's some real poignant stuff at the heart of this, but it does somehow get buried by some of the other things, I think.
Agreed, agreed.
I can't let this pass by, Jodi, without telling you about a memorable experience I had in the theater for all the wrong reasons, which is My Master Builder with Ewan McGregor.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing McGregor on stage and to see a version of an Ibsen play that I don't know as well as some of the others, but I believe you avoided this for the very same reasons.
Absolutely avoided it like the plague. No, I mean, I love Ewan McGregor, but I just thought, oh no, not another one of these, cool adaptations of a classic. I just thought it would be dreadful.
Well, I think you were right. I can't do a proper review for this show, in fact, because I didn't see all of it. Much to my wife's amazement, I left at the interval.
And you never do that, do you?
I almost never do that.
Wow.
You're right. But I thought that this was so terrible. And I know one shouldn't be cruel to people who put themselves on the line and do this wonderful thing and make theater. But this is such a poor play. This is the thing that struck me, that didn't deserve to be on the West End stage. And I think, how did this get here? And along with that, an extraordinarily anodyne performance by McGregor, who is clearly a film star who knows what he's doing on film, but he hasn't been on stage for a very long time. But perhaps it's an almost impossible task with this toe-curlingly bad script. But he also should have known better. The moment that set me home, I can't resist telling you, was he and Elizabeth Debicki talking through a sex scene from their past, with him literally saying things like, "And then what happened?" and she describing their next move.
Oh, it sounds toe curling.
It was icky, unbearably icky. The only redeeming feature of this show was Kate Fleetwood, who at least gives some heft in her performance as McGregor's wife. And I think there were some other strange things went on in the second half, but I can't tell you about them. Anyway, so that was a big disappointment.
Seems like that was a good swerve for me. And also, they don't come cheap, these tickets with superstars in them.
No, exactly.
Look, I haven't got anything against star casting. I used to get sniffy about it, but I've come to appreciate the fact that when you do that, it means you get a production funded, and it means lots of actors and backstage people, lots of creatives get work. Theatres stay open. It draws people into the theatre who ordinarily wouldn't. So I am for it. I just think you have an even greater responsibility to make a decent fist of it.
Absolutely. And you're right. There is a trend of this star casting underpinning a big show. I would say that it fails to work more often than it does. Actually, speaking of this sort of celebrity casting, so to speak, did you see An Oak Tree at the Young Vic?
No, I mean, I am quite interested in these sort of event theatre type things, but I just didn't get a ticket in the end.
Well, it was a very short season that's just finished recently. And this is the one where each night Tim Crouch invites a different mystery star to join him in performing his play without their knowing anything about it before they arrive on stage. Nor do we, the audience, know who's actually going to turn up. Although the theater, the Young Vic in this case, simply lists the people who have signed up to appear over the course of the run. And the run included David Tennant and Jessie Buckley and Indira Varma and many more. So some pretty big names and credible actors. The night I went, I saw Mira Sial. And the way it works is that Crouch feeds the other actor all of their lines on the fly, either by handing them parts of the script or feeding them lines through earphones or even simply telling them out loud, now say this.
Okay.
It's all very meta and somewhat interesting for that, but it's also kind of limiting, as you can imagine, in how much room there is for the actor to actually occupy a role and a scene. The character, in fact, that they play throughout is a 60-year-old male farmer. So that's not Mira Sayal, obviously.
No.
And I just think the way it's set up, there just isn't enough scope for them to actually act and therefore make a substantial emotional contribution. So for me, there was a lot of hype, and it felt a little bit like a superior Edinburgh Fringe show, cleverly conceived, well-written, executed, but only that. And at 85 minutes, going back to the pricing, at only 85 minutes long, I paid £60 for a seat in the gallery. And, the set was a few chairs and two people. I don't know whether we're paying for the celebrity, maybe. I was a bit taken aback by the reaction. So, for example, when Mira Sayal first walked out, there were huge cheers, as if this was the most exciting part of the show. And they haven't done anything yet. In fact, what they're doing is turning up to do their job, right? Then people are giving them a standing ovation before they've done anything. And I think this is something about the lure of the celebrity. I'm in danger of sounding grumpy now.
A little bit grumpy and unfair, maybe a little bit, because it's not the same as when they're cast in a play and the play's begun and then they make their entrance and everybody cheers. I hate it when that happens. In this instance, it's I don't know who I'm going to get. And then it's the excitement in response to who I've got, saying, oh, we welcome you. And it's a bit of an appreciation of, crikey, that takes some nerve as an actor to just stand up there and be exposed without, not knowing what's coming your way. People appreciating their courage. I think I can understand that.
That's true. I get that. It's a bit of the standing ovation at the end of shows thing, isn't it, as well, which seemed to be all too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, you'd give credit to the actors for turning up not knowing what's coming, although it's surprisingly easy for them.
Yeah, because they're given what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't a fundraiser, because again, I forgive it when it's a fundraiser too. So there's a similar concept they have at the Park Theatre, the Who Done It, and every night a different actor shows up and does the silliness in the middle of the show with them. And that's hilarious. And you forgive it, whatever its moments, because it's all a fundraiser for the theatre.
Yeah, and that's a lot of fun. I agree with you. No, I don't think that's what's going on with this show. Did you see Here We Are at the National, or do you have any interest in doing so? Because you quite like musicals, don't you?
I do. I did book a ticket, and then I confess I sent it back and went to see 1536 instead.
And you did that, why?
Because I just, the previews were cancelled because it wasn't quite ready. It just did not bode very well.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I did see it, actually. And I'm not usually, as you know, as big a musical fan as you are. And I know Sondheim is just the god. It's his last musical. Very much a show of two halves, which it literally is in its genesis, because each half is based on a different Louis Buñuel film. And as it turns out, I enjoyed the first half. And then the second half I thought wasn't very good at all. It's a kind of bonkers show, really. I enjoyed its quirky choreography, and the design is lovely. The cast are very good, including Rory Kinnear, who proves again that he's a much more versatile actor than you might imagine, especially if you only know him from his deliberately dull cameos in the Bond films.
Yeah.
But the second half is completely different and just becomes tedious, because the setup is that it's phalanx of characters who have spent the first half, they're an insufferable metropolitan elite looking for somewhere to have brunch. It's not much of a plot, but it's still funny and a joy to look at. The second half, these same characters are stuck, literally trapped physically in a house after a party, which may have some resonances with the pandemic, for example, but by definition, the stasis of such a situation is just boring after a time. They literally go nowhere. And the weirdest thing is there's very few songs, to the point that I forgot it was supposed to be a musical. So I don't really know what happened to the musical of the second half of this show. I mean, I guess it might be a function of the fact that it was a sort of unfinished draft by Sondheim, I suppose, when he died. But anyway, whatever buzz I had in the theater at the interval was thoroughly deflated by the time I left.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Yeah, that's going to have to pass me by, that one, I'm afraid. Should we do a quick what's coming up?
Yeah, let's do that. I've got Stereophonic coming.
Yes, I saw that at the weekend. We should do a review of that. No spoilers. It's one of my favorite sets of anything I've seen.
Okay, good. I know you like a set.
I do like a set, and I like the details. Centre of the Universe at Theatre 503 with Gaia Mondadori. That's 10th to 12th July, free Edinburgh. She's quite a talent, and I just think you'd be lucky to catch her.
Okay, I haven't got that on the list. I'll look that one up. What else have I got? An armed robber at a petrol station at the Young Vic.
That just sounds like a bonkers title.
It does.
Is that one of the drama schools? Is it one of their showcases?
Yes. It's written by Samuel Bailey, who wrote Shook, which is a play I really loved, and did an episode of the Play Podcast with him on that play. And he's a real talent, I think. 448, Psychosis at the Royal Court.
I didn't get tickets for that, and I'm so cross. Is that Sarah Kane?
Yes.
I feel like that's a gap in my theatrical education.
Listen, I'm not sure who I've convinced to come to that. So if they don't, then I'll certainly call you.
Yes, please. I'll be first in line.
It's a hard watch, but interesting. London Road.
Oh, I'm seeing that too.
I didn't see it the first time around, so I'm looking forward to that.
Same. I did watch it on National Theatre Live. I love this idea of verbatim theatre. Really excited for that.
Okay, we can talk about that one. And then also coming up, I'm very interested in A Moon for the Misbegotten at the Almeida with Rebecca Frecknell directing.
Again, I missed getting tickets for that. That's sold out. I'll keep landing back on the website because that is how I got tickets for 1536. They do releases online. So I do like Rebecca Frecknell's work. So
that might transfer.
Yes, it might.
And actually, news that just came in today, Dominic Cook is going to be the new artistic director there at the Almeida. That's, I think, very nice appointment.
It is. And he made such a gracious announcement about it, you know, in terms of building on the legacy of Rupert Gould and what he's done there.
It's one of my favorite theaters, and I think it'll be in good hands there. Okay, well, I hope that was useful. A quick roundup. We'll do this again in a few weeks' time when we've seen some of the things we've just talked about.
Excellent. Happy theatre going in the meantime.
Thank you, Jodi. Great to see you.
You too.
Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time. We'd love to hear what you think, so please visit theplaypodcast.com to share your comments or email us at plays@theplaypodcast.com. Thanks for listening. See you next time.